Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewins.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We discuss themes from some of our favorite books and how those themes show up in real, lived experiences.
On today's episode, we're discussing Suzanne Collins' Hunger Games series and the release of the upcoming adaptation of the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
But first, if you enjoy the podcast, you know the drill. Please think about supporting us in a few ways. First, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else they'll let you give us a review. I don't even care where. And just let us know that you love the show.
We would also love for you to follow us on Instagram at Redirect Podcast and interact with us on Instagram. Some of you guys follow us on Instagram. We've swapped books with you. We've traded recommendations. We chat in the DMs. So, reach out. And finally, if you really, really like the show, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. You know it, we know it. Sharing our show with a friend is the best way to help us grow our community of book-loving nerds.
Absolutely. And I want to shout out the 6 people that gave us a 5-star review on Spotify, because I just saw that for the first time that they let you do reviews there. And we have 6 people who gave us 5-star reviews, even though we don't even say Spotify in the intro. So
that's nice.
Shout out to you guys. You don't even need instructions. You just do it and we love you.
Yeah. You're the best.
Okay.
Emily.
Abigail. Hey.
Hey.
By the way, to all the listeners, I made good on my promise in the last episode. I did read Fourth Wing in between our last conversation and now. Actually, I don't even know if that's what I promised. I think it was something.
No, you promised to read I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, that one is like a month's wait at the Libby. You guys know.
That's fine.
I remembered promising something. I'm like, wait, was it Fourth Wing? Never mind.
But you did in the past promise to read Fourth Wing.
I finally did. And you guys, I loved it. I loved it. Unlike the book that I'm procrastinating talking about right now, which...
Yeah. But listen, okay, there are Fourth Wing haters out there.
And I respect
that's
them.
fine. That's fine. That is not the culture we're building here.
We're here to hate on only the things we hate on.
And we do not hate on Fourth Wing.
No, we don't. You know why, though? Because I saw someone describe this as a spicier YA romance with a dash of fantasy. That's why I think I loved it. Because you know what? I don't like fantasy books. But this is like if you were reading Peeta and Katniss to transition to what we're actually here to talk about, and you were thinking, why don't they make out more? Then read Fourth Wing, because that'll just give you everything. She's got braided hair. She's got black outfits. She's got some interesting skills. You just need to read this, and that's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell people.
Yes.
Where I'm like, this is great if you are nervous or skeptical about reading fantasy. This is a great toe in.
Absolutely. Because
it is grounded in a lot of things that we already have context for, like school and war.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing to get around is like magic and dragons. Also, those are things
very complex.
Those are things we're already familiar with.
Dragon tales.
Yeah, or like Harry Potter. Like, it's like the idea of having magical skills isn't that crazy.
Yes.
I will say that like it is a slippery slope though, because I did mention at the end of our last episode that I was reading ACOTAR series, and I finally got into it. Well, now I'm really into it. Ooh. And I really needed it to satisfy the hole that finishing Fourth Wing left.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like fully blazing through, and that magic is a lot more complex and there are lots of things going on.
So it's like a gateway drug, basically. Fourth Wing is a gateway.
I do think though that I wouldn't have an interest in reading fantasy if it wasn't Fantomance or whatever. Yes. What do they call it? Fantasy romance, how do they combine those words? Romantasy. Yeah. Yes. I don't think I would be interested in reading fantasy at all if there was no romance component.
Sure.
This has nothing to do with the topic of today's episode.
I just had to talk about it. I mean, I've just been over here on my own reading Fourth Wing, trying not to text you about it because I want to save it for the pod for content. I'm trying to make content out of my life, but I needed to talk about it. And also somehow TikTok knew I read it because now all I see on TikTok is Fourth Wing TikTok posts. So
there's so much good stuff out there on Fourth Wing TikTok.
There is.
And for those who are also fellow Fourth Wing fans, everyone that's anyone knows that the second book, Iron Flame, is coming out November 7th. We won't be immediately book clubbing it because we have some other very exciting episodes planned that we cannot reveal yet, but are very cool and different for us.
Yes.
But around the end of November, we will be discussing in detail,
in heavy detail,
the Iron Flame.
I'm certain.
I saw a peek at a quote that Rebecca Yaros posted from this.
I think I saw this as well. I saw something. I saw a quote. I saw a post.
Here we go.
It was Xaden talking, I believe.
Yes, here we go.
Yes.
Here's the quote. Okay. I'm still really damned angry with you. I lift my chin, just as furious with myself for getting into this position, for feeling whatever all this bullshit is. Feeling is mutual. He slides one hand into my hair, then sucks a breath through his teeth when his fingers meet my skin at the base of my spine. But it's possible to be angry while still madly, wildly, uncontrollably in love with me. His mouth crashes into mine. It is serving us.
It's giving completely, irrevocably in love with you.
Just put it in a syringe. I want it directly into my veins.
Yeah.
Intravenous.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about a book I could barely stand to read. The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So I'm sorry because I went onto Reddit, I went onto Twitter, I went onto the forums, okay? And I tried to find out, am I the only one who hated this book? And I think the answer is generally yes. So I apologize to all of you guys who love this book. It was just not it for me, but we're going to talk all about the Hunger Games today, not just this prequel, but I just had to get it out of the way. If that is your like literary darling, I'm so sorry. I just hated it so much.
And look, okay, backing up a little bit, the reason we're talking about this book if we hate it is as a reminder on November 17th, shout out Emma,
Happy
it's your
birthday, Emma.
There's a movie coming out, an adaptation of Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes.
There hasn't been a lot of hype around that, and probably because no one cares, but
yeah.
I
think people do care. I just don't
as Hunger Games fans that you and I are, like, we had to talk about it. So that is why we're talking about this today. We're going to talk about everything relating to Hunger Games, not just this book, but that'll be a big part of it. We did talk a little bit about Hunger Games in our dystopian books episode.
Yes.
So we'll try not to be too redundant from what we discussed in that episode. But if you haven't checked that out, go listen to that as an accessory to this.
And that was, that was a brief mention of a lot of different dystopians. This is a deep dive on just the Hunger Games. So that's kind of like your intro. And this is kind of the deeper dive into these specific books. So that's where we're at.
So, Emily, background on the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, the first book, it was released earlier than I remember. It was actually released in 2008.
Yes, and I remember that because I remember this. Okay, I did not remember this with Twilight. I don't know how I found those books. I don't know how I came to read them. But this, I vividly remember. It was the year 2008. And my friend Abby, shout out if you listen to this podcast. My middle school friend Abby, she brought this book to drama class with her. And I remember exactly where I was sitting in the theater in drama class in 7th grade or whatever I was in 2008. Could have been 8th grade. Can't do math that fast. Might have been 7th or 8th.
You were in both grades that year.
Yeah. Right? So at some point during that year, she brought it into drama class and was like, Emily, you have to read this book. So I got in on the ground floor with this one because of Abby forcing me to read it, and I remember it was so addicting. So I was remember reading it like right after it was released. Somehow I got in, and I remember it vividly. Changed my life.
I think you probably put me onto these books.
Sure.
My vivid memory of reading Hunger Games was I think I probably read it in like 2009.
Yeah,
but
on the ground floor.
Yeah, I was sitting in my bed. And I shout out to my fellow almond mom friends out there.
Solidarity.
My mom is not really like truly an almond mom,
Yeah.
but
ingredient household.
we were in an ingredient household in this phase.
Yes.
And so I needed a late night snack for Hunger Games. And I was eating out of a paper cup a combination of semi-sweet chocolate chips and craisins. And I was just eating that as like a little homemade treat.
Yeah. Trail mix.
And still to this day, I associate the taste of that snack with these books.
Amazing.
This is really content nobody wanted, but
no, it's perfect. And do you also remember that feeling when you read the second book and you got to the last page and Gale or whoever, isn't it Gale, who says, Katniss, there is no District 12. And that's the end of the book. And there was no book out after that. You had to wait like a year or whatever. That feeling is so scarred on my mind. I mean, she really did what no one else could do, which is that cliffhanger is wild.
She did it like no other.
Yes.
So I imagine everyone listening has some sort of context for
absolutely
the Hunger Games, but just in case you don't, the Hunger Games are a series of 3 books plus a prequel, centering teenage girl Katniss Everdeen, who lives in the near future in what used to be North America after the devastating effects of climate change. If you ever look up a map of Panem,
yes,
you will see that it looks like
Florida
North America,
gone, yeah,
with like a lot of rising sea levels.
Yeah.
She is on a quest to survive the barbaric Hunger Games and eventually overthrow the oppressive government regime that put her there. There's also a great love triangle.
The best love triangle.
It starts honestly. Unsuspecting girl from like what would formerly be like West Virginia area who's just trying to survive this horrible circumstance where she's put in, where she's to fight to the death with a bunch of other kids from across the country. And it turns into this epic quest for her to overthrow the government.
Yes.
And lead a rebellion.
And all she was trying to do was, protect her family, help them survive, protect her sister. And it turns into a full-scale rebellion by the end of the books.
Yes. And the gem of this trilogy is one of the best book boyfriends of all time. And it's not Gale.
Oh, Gale? Gale and Dane are in the same war criminal jail to me, and they should never be released, and they belong there.
And
Guantanamo Bay.
And for my ACOTAR girlies, Tamlin is in that too.
Yes.
It's Tamlin, Dane, and Gale.
And I'm not joking. There are bad people in love triangles, and then there's war criminals, and Gale is a war criminal.
Not even hyperbolic. He literally is a war criminal. He
literally blew up children. So, anyways, shout out to PETA for being the king of our hearts.
Also, what I realized when I was making this outline is that this was fake dating before fake dating was really a thing. They were fake dating. Well, Katniss was fake dating.
Yes.
In the Hunger Games to survive. And PETA just loved her. And he didn't know it was fake dating until they got out of the games.
Oh, that was so devastating.
It is devastating.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So yeah, book 2, they have to continue the fake dating thing, and rebellion is going on around the districts, and Katniss and PETA are sent back to the Hunger Games.
Honestly, this is a fire plot twist as well, because I just reread these books not that long ago. I think maybe like towards the end of last year I reread them. Well, okay, no, that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of PETA's Games. I'm like, I just read these books. Anyways, I read PETA's Games not that long ago, earlier this year, but we'll get to that.
and I'll read it again.
Yes, but they spend so much, like, honestly, the first half of this book is just their victory tour, Haymitch being drunk, them trying to figure out their relationship.
This is actually why it's my favorite of the trilogy. Because there's the least amount of violence.
Yes.
And the most love. And this is my favorite of the adaptations.
Yes.
I really like this movie.
It's so good. Okay, we'll talk about the movies. But anyways, then all of a sudden, I mean, to have them be sent back into the Hunger Games, I mean, now you read it and you know that that's what happened. But at the time, I mean, I just think this is a genius plot device. Like, you think they're safe. You obviously know they're struggling against President Snow, who I now hate more than I thought possible. There's like political tension, but for them to then be sent back into the games, that was not even something as a reader you would have considered. And then to throw that on the table is just, it's a great book.
It's great as a way to bring in new lovable characters.
Yes.
So that's great too, because by virtue of the fact that most of the first book was spent inside the arena, a lot of the characters that we were introduced to died.
Yeah.
So you kind of need new side characters.
Fresh blood.
So we get Finnick. We get
Joanna.
We got Joanna. We get Nuts and Bolts. Nuts and Bolts. What's their names again? BT and
Mags.
Yeah. We get more of Haymitch because he's doing more behind the scenes.
He's somewhat committed to sobriety at some points.
Yeah. And so we get like more of which we find out at the end of the book / movie is that that group of tributes was really plotting behind Peeta and Katniss's back a rescue.
Yes. To try to get
games
out of the games.
They're aligned in the rebellion, and they're integral parts of Mockingjay. That's another reason I like that she chose to send them back to the arena.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because on its face, it seems like lazy writing because you're just doing the same thing again. But she does it so differently. So in an established plot device, which is the quarter quell, which had been discussed previously, it's not like, hey, I just ran out of ideas. Let's do the Hunger Games again.
Oh, yeah, no. There was
so well thought out. And it's also so different. It's such a different experience. The arena is different, which I thought was, a great development from how the Hunger Games apparently were in the past, where the arena just was the same every year. So that...
And Katniss changes with the arena.
Yes.
So the first time around, she's just kind of like trying to get through. But the second time around, she has like nothing to lose. And she is now, like the first time around, she's trying to survive so she can get home to Prim. The second time around, she's trying to keep Peeta alive.
She's like, at the expense of my life, I want Peeta to win these games. He will survive and get out of here.
Yeah,
and
so the mindset changes.
Yes. I remember that moment too where he gets electrocuted by the electric fence and his heart stops, and then Katniss does CPR and revives him and brings him back to life. And that moment where Finnick's like, oh, you really do actually care about him. I thought it was 100% for show, but there's obviously some part of this that's real, or you would just let him die. We're in the Hunger Games, why would you bring him back to life? That's one less person you have to worry about. But that moment is so beautiful and nice. And
you cannot fake date without having a little bit of feelings for the person you're fake dating.
For all these fake daters out there, just don't do it if you don't want to fall in love.
Right. And I am going to specifically target Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce with this. Are they fake dating? Totally. Are they maybe also having a crush on each other while they're doing it? Yes.
How could you not? How could you not? How could you not?
Anyway.
Look at all the people in movies that fall for each other and like have affairs on their actual spouses. You can't act like you're in love without something happening.
Here's what I'm going to say. Tom Holland and Zendaya.
Yes.
They 100. You cannot convince me that did not start as a PR relationship.
Absolutely.
And now they're in love.
Let's talk about the most real and most devastating and most traumatizing, heartbreaking PR relationship ever. And that's Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. That was real. And don't tell me it wasn't real. That was real. And it broke me. But they started off for sure as another Spider-Gwen fake couple.
I want a romance novel recommendation for anyone listening about a PR relationship turned real romance.
I think someone did a fake one about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I'm sure. In like 24 hours. I've been seeing people roasting it on TikTok, but no, a good one. If you guys have a real good one of like two celebrities in a PR romance that fall in love, we would love to read that.
Yeah, would love to
That's everything I love in life right there.
Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so back to the book. Also remember like the just being totally gagged when he's like, I would have no regrets except for Katniss is pregnant.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was gagged. And I'm still gagged every time I watch that movie.
Honestly, shout out to Peeta and his like press skills, because every single time he was doing those interviews, he had something up his sleeve. But that one was crazy. And I mean, ingenious, because I think a big part of the war on the Capitol and on this regime is that the people in the Capitol had been a part of this system for so long that there was no humanity behind. They were just like, it was like a dogfight that they were betting on, essentially, in the Hunger Games. They weren't children. But PETA, I think, more than anyone, really reminded them that these are human beings and provoked this outrage that I think ultimately, you know, it seems like a stupid thing for them to be outraged at the Hunger Games, these stupid people in the Capitol. But in the end, you need that public opinion of, you know, you need that on your side to win a war.
You know what? I'm just realizing
Yeah.
that Susan Collins is a genius because, and I want to talk about this too when we get to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
But she made a little bit of like social political commentary with that move because she showed the fact that there's this whole population of like rich elites who don't care about children, but do care about unborn babies.
Yes. Tea.
Right? That is the tea.
interesting.
And
Like, that is what outrages them, not the 12-year-olds, you know, being reaped for
yeah, that's another thing. It's just, she puts a lot. I think that's one of the really cool things that we talked about a little bit in our dystopian episode.
Yeah.
Is that authors have a way to make commentary about the world we live in by putting it in a fake world. We
Yes.
can't talk about it in our world because
Yeah.
that's just too controversial. But if we just dress it up a little bit or put it in the near future, we can discuss wealth inequality because it's not so close to home.
Yeah, and it's kind of over exaggerated in a way where, yeah, it doesn't feel personal. It's like, well, this is obviously wrong, but maybe if it's more subtle, you know, you don't think about it as much. So I think that's really, yeah, like you said, the whole dystopian genre kind of does this a lot of times. There is like this political aspect of it or social commentary that gets infused into it by the nature of the genre.
So by the time we get to book 3, Katniss has been rescued by District 13, which she thought was destroyed, and Peeta's taken to the Capitol.
Yeah.
He's hijacked and his memories are changed so that he's like turned into like a killing machine for Katniss.
Yeah.
And basically this culminates in like a war. Snow is eventually defeated. Katniss and Peeta find their way back to each other through lots of twists and turns and hijinks. And Gale is a war criminal.
Exactly. This book is so sad, by the way. It is such a sad book because, you know, Katniss really loved Peeta, but he never honestly got to know that. And then his memories are hijacked. Mm-hmm. And then he hates her. He tries to kill her on multiple occasions. And she is stuck of like, well, I love him and he's gone, you know, and he's trapped in the Capitol for a while. I don't know. It's just so sad. And then obviously Finnick and Annie. Just the most devastating story that you could ever imagine. And Joanna, she's sad. So it's a really sad book. I'm laughing, but it's really devastating.
Yeah.
This book is very sad.
With
Prim
like
dies.
a little kernel of hope at the end.
Yeah.
Basically.
It ends
you know?
on a somewhat positive note.
And
but-
honestly, yes, it is depressing. I think that's true to life, that there are a lot of horrible, devastating things that happen. And then there is really just like a kernel of hope.
Yeah, especially in war, obviously. Like, I think it wouldn't be realistic. I mean, a lot of people die. Finnick dies. Prim dies. You know, there's a lot of death in this book. And so I think that's realistic to the war. Just of war in general. Like, people die. And it wouldn't be... It's devastating and you're always sad. But, you know, that is real. So what do you think about the ending of book 3 where she chooses to kill the rebellion president, whatever her name is?
Yeah. So
I forget her name.
President Coin.
Yes, Coin.
Basically at the end, so President Coin is like, let's do a Hunger Games to reap the Capitol's children.
One last Hunger Games, with only Capitol children.
And she's like, and I'll just be the interim president, you know, until
right.
Okay. And so Katniss is like, sure, but if I get to kill Snow. And so she goes out to kill Snow, but actually she aims her arrow higher and kills Coin.
Yeah.
I thought that was another brilliant moment.
Yeah.
Where it was like Katniss wasn't just against Coin. I mean, it wasn't just against Snow.
Yeah.
She was against dictatorship.
Yeah.
And this whole system of government I think that was a brilliant choice.
I fully agree. It was so surprising when I read it in the books. I feel like I remember having to reread it a couple times to be like, what just happened?
I will say
I can't believe that.
The unsatisfying thing for me is that we never, besides like a tiny little page at the end that's like an epilogue that shows Peeta and Katniss and like their kids being happy.
Yeah.
It kills me that we don't get to see them be happy more. Like, we don't get to see the healing part.
I would have liked that as a prequel, sequel, way more.
Or like a little novella that like...
Yeah, novella would be perfect.
Just like a little addendum. Like, that would be great. I don't know if that's really up her alley, like to write something that's just happy.
Yeah, it's kind of happy.
But I would love to just see like a little novella about how they rebuilt their lives so we can finally get Peeta and Katniss being happy together.
Yeah, because we never do get that. It's very, which I guess this makes sense, but yeah, it would have been nice after all this trauma. I mean, again, Mockingjay is a very sad book.
Yeah.
So I would have liked a little, you know, maybe to show a little more of how they came back together and, you know, more than just a couple of pages, like you said. But overall, very happy with the ending. Always Team Peeta, never Team Gale. Gale sucks on every level. I love these books. I vividly remember reading them, and even more segueing to talk about the movies. I read these books really in middle school, but then the movies started coming out kind of like high school, college, and that was so fun because
so we got all your so friends, many years to enjoy it.
Yes, and yeah, your friends, you know, got to grow up like people who had grown up with the books as well. You know, so by the time, I mean, I think Mockingjay Part 1 came out when I was in college. I don't know if it was part 2 or part 1.
No, yeah, one of them came out in college.
Yes, and I just remember that, like, kind of dressing up with some friends and going to it wasn't midnight premieres anymore because they don't do that, but the night before premiere, like the Thursday night. And I just remember that being such a fun time. So I thought that was great. Like, I got to read them, and then as I got older, the movies came out. So, yeah. You know, sometimes you want that immediate movie adaptation, but I don't know, with this, the delay was kind of fun. It's like you have to grow up.
Yeah, we got so many years to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And also just the cultural impact it had on being like a 19-year-old girl when these movies were coming out was crazy.
The braids.
The combat boots.
The 3-finger thing.
Yeah. My freshman year dorm wars team did Hunger Games as our theme. We won. It was lit.
Yeah.
And we had like, we did this intro dance. So at our college, we had this thing where the dorms compete in this like...
It's actually really fun.
It was really fun. This like field day kind of thing. And you do like an opening... It's like an opening ceremony. It's like the Olympics. Yeah. And we did like this intro song and we did...
Everyone performs. Yeah.
We did Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
So it started with that and then it went into Light 'em up, light 'em up. And then at the end... Our sponsor, or like our faculty sponsor, came out and then like did the 3-finger thing, and then there was this like whistle, like the doo doo doo. I can't whistle, but
yeah,
it was the Katniss whistle. Yeah, and then all of us were like in a circle, and we fell down on the ground.
That's amazing. I have chills.
It was literally the best night of my college experience. Probably.
My freshman year, our theme was Divergent, and we also won. So there's something to that. Anyways, it was great though. It was a time. It was a definite time to be alive. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, her interviews were everywhere.
The 2010s.
People were dressing like her so hard.
We were wearing business casual. We were doing a full beat of makeup. We were doing completely matte skin. We were
we were on Tumblr still, and so was the Hunger Games.
We were just nothing could stop us from wearing our tweed blazers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were killing it.
I loved it. I really loved it.
All right. So,
but these are the great, what I'll say about the movies before we move on. These are the gold standard movie adaptations. I don't know if we said that. I think we did in our book to movie episode, which you should all check out with Zach. But these to me are the ultimate book adaptations. I mean, they are so good. I think even if you don't read the books, these are great movies, and like they're so good. There's nothing. It's so interesting
because you can totally see the budget increase from movie 1 to movie 2.
For sure. But still, they're very, very well done. And I thought that this is what you want when you hear your books getting adapted. a book you love, this is what you hope for, is the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Not the Divergent.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So, I'll kick us off.
Kick us off.
This is a prequel to the Hunger Games, which we just established is about a dystopia. This was released in May of 2020, which, look, nobody could have foreseen the pandemic happening when they said the book release. But what an unfortunate time to release a book about a dystopian society.
Yeah. It's kind of like how the Station 11 TV show came out in mid 2020. Okay, it's a great show, by the way. A great adaptation. But a tough time to talk about a global pandemic. You know, it's not what people want.
Especially like a
time.
flu pandemic, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's tough. But you can't blame Suzanne for the timing.
Yeah, whatever. So this is a prequel about Coriolanus Snow, who was known in the books as President Snow, before he becomes the president in like the early Hunger Games era. So he was a teenage boy who has survived the war, and his family has actually suffered a lot of financial losses from the war in the capital.
Yes.
So he needs, so he's not able to go to university, but he has these think like really think like Kevin McCarthy. He's living to be a politician, and like that's what he cares about most of all, is to have influence, not really to make change.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that's his quest in life, but he doesn't have money to go to a university. So he's like at his private school. He's trying to hide the fact that he's poor.
Yes. And
they are having I think it's like the 15th Hunger Games.
Yeah, it's pretty early. Like it's early in the Hunger Games.
So
world.
This is kind of discussing some like lore of the Hunger Games. So they started and it wasn't televised. There wasn't like these specialty built environments and arenas. It was literally just like a sports arena. They gave people weapons and then it was over in like an hour.
Yeah.
So they're changing it up. They're televising it and they're pairing up the tributes from the different districts with students from the school as mentors. And the mentor whose tribute wins this big cash prize. And his plan is to use that to attend university.
Yes.
So Emily, who does he get paired up with as a mentor?
Well, but who else, of course? The District 12 female tribute, Lucy Gray.
Yeah.
She is from District 12, but not really. She's kind of part of a traveling song group called the Covey. They very Appalachian vibes from them, like a bluegrass band that traveled, but they happened to be in the District 12 area kind of when the war ended. So that's how she became a part of District 12, but she's not like your typical coal miner. And she's wearing makeup when she's reaped, which is kind of unusual. And she sings a song at the reaping. She maybe kills someone with the snake or heavily poisons them. Unclear why at that time. And then, yeah, of course, he got the District 12 female, obviously, because what else?
Yeah. So, he's really keen on her somehow winning. He feels like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed I got the District 12 girl because, how am I going to win with her?
Right. Like, District 12 is not a strong district. Girls aren't strong. But then she kind of adds some spice. So he's like, maybe.
Yeah. Like, so this kind of, he notices that she's really good with, showmanship.
Yeah.
And wants to use that. He's one of the first people in this world to try and use that to his advantage, not just to bolster her physical stats, but her personality.
Yes.
And trying to build a following around who she is and how she can perform.
Right. And he also is the person who, as a class assignment, eventually comes up with the idea that candidates or competitors, I guess, in the Hunger Games can be sponsored, that people can place bets on them. So this is the first time.
It.
Yes, he's like, okay, well, at the very least, I can get a lot of sponsors, get a lot of attention. Maybe she's not going to win, but I can kind of raise my status and make a name for myself with her by using her. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the interim period while they're doing the press interviews and they're kind of being held before the games actually start, he sneaks her some food,
Yeah.
It kind of helps her like cheat a little bit.
I would have loved. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, he gives her like this like compact, she ends up putting like sneaking rat poison into the arena with.
Yeah.
And they kind of like develop this like kind of romance. Like it's kind of like this weird vibe of like, do they like each other?
Yeah. Or are they mutually using each other? Or is there actual feelings? That's the weird part. I would have, what I was going to say, and I have this in my discussion notes later, but I really would have preferred, versus some of this book, I would have preferred more information on how the Hunger Games went from this to what they are by the time Katniss competes. Because in this version, they are stuffed in a zoo. There's literally rats trying to eat them in this zoo. They are not fed. They're not given. And it's really a fluke that they even, like, before they had mentors, they would just send them straight to the games immediately after reaping. And not keep them at all. So I'm just curious. Obviously, you see the roots of how it develops here, where they're trying to get more viewers. They want people to be more invested. But how did it go from this, where they feel like they don't even deserve, a bed, a cot, to where Katniss experiences where they're putting them up in like a super nice accommodations, feeding them luxurious foods, the makeup, the costumes. Like, I would have almost preferred to learn more about that lore than this.
My interpretation of that was like, because Snow is like learning how to make this into really like a television show.
A show, yeah.
He realizes that like it's not so fun whenever the tributes come in and they're already half starved.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so I think it was breadcrumbing a little bit that way, but no, they didn't spend time explicitly showing the progression. Well,
also in this, before the games even start, half the tributes are killed through. There's a bombing. Some of them, there's other accidents where they end up dying. And so I do think that probably makes sense too. Like, no one wants to see them dead before they even get to the arena, so you can kind of fatten them up, clean them up, make them beautiful, make them compelling, and then people will want to tune in more. So it makes sense. It was just kind of, wow, such a stark difference between then and what it is by the time Katniss is there.
Yeah. So by the time Lucy gets into the arena, some different things happen. Honestly, the book doesn't spend that much time in the arena.
No, very little.
He does help her cheat a little bit. There's like, because some of his professors are like kind of the game makers at this point in the history of Panem. There's like these snakes that they're going to unleash into the arena. And he learns that like, if they know you're sent, they won't go at you. So like he puts an item that she's touched into the thing with the snakes. So the snakes don't attack her when they get in. Also at this time, one of his classmates, Sejanus, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
He also kind of cheats and breaks in to help with something during the games. So
Sejanus is originally from District 2, and his family kind of paid their way into the capital. And so he has a lot of like empathy for it.
Like new money.
Yes, very.
So they both kind of so Lucy wins, but then after the Hunger Games, they both get in trouble because they figured out what they did to help.
Yes.
So Sejanus and Coriolanus Snow are both sent. They're both made to enroll in the Peacekeepers, the army, and sent to District 12.
This is where it lost me for good. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry again if you like this book. And I'm sorry to Suzanne Collins. First of all, I think I wasn't initially invested at all because I don't want to read about someone I don't want to root for. And I'm not rooting for a guy who I know later becomes some kind of sociopath.
And Lucy wasn't strong enough to root for.
And
so that was the thing that was missing.
So weird too. Like, I don't know. There was nothing. Lucy wasn't really developed at all. Their romance wasn't developed at all. So that's what I was kind of expecting going into it. I had an open mind. I expected it to be way more on the romance side, that they would kind of fall in love. Maybe something would happen to her and he would turn evil kind of as a result. And then that explains why he, had kind of this weird thing with Katniss, or like she really got under his skin because she's also the girl from District 12. That's what I was expecting. Obviously, there's elements of that in here, but none of it was like strong enough. And there was so much time spent on things that I didn't care about. There was just so much. This is to me, this is the Midnight Sun paradox, which is once you are so successful, people aren't editing you. And if this book had been edited, I think down a little bit, I might have liked it more. But there was just so much in here that wasn't interesting to me. And I didn't root for the main character. And I didn't root for the Lucy Gray character. I didn't root for the romance. I had nothing to like hold on to. And then out of nowhere, with no lead up that this is even an option, they're sent to District 12 to be peacekeepers in like the last, like the pacing was all over the place to me. I don't know. To me, this is again a Midnight Sun paradox where you are so successful that people then stop editing you as hard. And this is what you get, in my opinion.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I think what she was trying to do when she sent them to District 12 was a couple things. One, to kind of breadcrumb some of the things that will show up later in the actual Hunger Games books, like some of the foundation of District 12, but also to maybe make you ask some big questions about President Snow, like watching on his, I think it's just more of like a commentary of like this person who had the opportunity to do good and be right, but made choices over and over again that are wrong and lead him towards evil.
Yeah.
Like his time in District 12 is basically setting him up to make choices about who he's going to be. And I think that's basically what she was probably just trying to say with this book. Like my interpretation is like, hey, you get to choose if you're a good person or a bad person.
Sure. And it's not, I don't think it's like poorly written. And I see why people like it, I guess. It's just for me, I have to have something to root for.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I would have preferred more lore about the Hunger Games. Because to me, it was like, you can't, I don't know. I would have preferred either or. Either I'm actually rooting for someone, or at least, I don't know, care about someone in some way, or just make this pure fan service and give me all the, lore behind everything. And it didn't really do either.
It makes me think about a show that we both love, Succession.
Yes.
How there is literally no one to root for. Every single person is bad. But what you're rooting for is their demise.
Yeah, and somehow you still actually do care about them. Like you still at the end, even though and this is spoilers for Succession, so skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want to hear it. But at the very last episode, when Kendall's sitting there and you think he might kill himself, you're devastated, actually, even though you know he's a bad person. And that's what I think is very difficult to do. And I don't think that personally, for me, Suzanne accomplished that, because I think even though you are rooting for the demise of everyone in Succession, but on the same token, you also kind of care about them a lot,
or like, it's like you're rooting for the demise of their empire.
Yes.
But you're hoping that they will be restored.
Okay. Yeah. Or they'll figure out,
rehabilitated.
Yes.
And I think that's what maybe she was trying to do with President Snow. I mean, the problem is, how the story ends.
I think that's part of it for sure.
You're rooting for the demise of the empire, but with any good anti-hero, you want to see them make better choices and be a better person.
You know who's a great example too of this is like Thanos from the Avengers. Because there's sometimes when you're watching the Avengers where you're like, okay, maybe he has a point. Like humanity is destroying himself. And then you're like, okay, no, he could just double the resources. He doesn't have to kill half the population, but he's so well articulated that you kind of are like, maybe he has a point. So I just felt like none of that was there to me with Coriolanus.
Yeah.
With President Snow. There's nothing to me that was like interesting about him. For me.
Yeah. So the choices that he makes, we learn about his proclivity for poisons and how he, ended up poisoning some of the people who put him in the place that he was. We won't go through all of it, but we learn about, he has the opportunity, like his friend Sejanus, has this plan to like escape, but he ends up recording him with a Jabberjay and then ratting him out to their superiors.
Yeah. And the whole time Sejanus isn't really his friend either, so
yeah, he's more just like his peer.
It's kind of like, maybe he's my friend, maybe he's not. We're kind of forced together by circumstances, but I'm still better than him. He's from the districts,
Totally.
So that's definitely there.
And his betrayal of his peer ends up getting him
Yeah.
he ends up dying.
Yeah.
And then Coriolanus gets to go back to the capital and like go to school. They talk, we learn a little bit about how mockingjays were made. We learn about, there are some pretty, I don't have the book anymore. I borrowed it from Libby, but I remember in the discussion of jabberjays and mockingbirds and the creation of mockingjays that there was some pretty like,
it was pretty heavy-handed.
There's some pretty heavy-handed like allusions
yes.
to like mockingjays are so bad and like
yes,
Katniss
I
is the
freaking hate
mockingjay.
mockingjays. And then the same with the hanging tree song because oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
but
a guy's getting hanged and he like sings a song.
Like, the hanging tree. They say that, and then they're like, he's like, oh, they said he murdered 3 people. I'm like, oh my god. And then Lucy Gray writes the song, "Are You?" which is a great song, but it was just so, yeah, it was so to me very this part. This is why I was lost in the District 12. It started to become like. It's like the whole book, no fan service whatsoever. And then all of a sudden he's in District 12 and she's trying to like cram all this fan service in there. And it just felt almost jarring. She's like, we're in this place called the Hob. This is where the locals hang out after. you know? And it was just kind of not.
Well, it kind of just felt like, what's the plot right now? Like,
yes, what's happening?
What are we doing?
Yes. So I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know, actually, I realize I'm the minority on this. A lot of people really like this book.
Well, I think that this is a book, I think, for me, where like, did I think it was great? No. Did I, as a fan of the Hunger Games, find it interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. And I'll watch the movie probably.
Probably will, maybe when it comes out. I'm nervous about the movie, honestly. It's not looking good for me.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think the thing is, though, this sets him up. The book ends where he's rescued. Oh, wait, we skipped something really important. So he plans to run away with Lucy Gray. This is like his big moment of decision.
Yes, climax.
Is he going to run away with Lucy, like leave it all behind, like live a life of peace and harmony, or what? So he actually does like go with Lucy. They're going to run away. And he's like, wait, man, camping is hard. This sucks. I hate nature. And so he's
relatable, honestly.
So he's just like, I'm actually gonna like head out. And she ends up setting a trap for him. So this actually was the interesting thing to me, which I don't think was honestly earned enough. Yeah. But I thought I wish we had more of this, maybe some chapters in her perspective or something.
Oh, that would have been helpful. Yes.
Where she's kind of like, you're left with this question at the end. Was Lucy using Coriolanus the whole time?
Yes. It's very unclear.
Was she stringing him along? Because at the end, she sets a trap for him where he like is bitten by a snake, a poisonous snake, and he ends up getting like airlifted.
Yeah.
And rescued and taken back to the capital. So did she have feelings for him? Did she care about him? Did she love him?
Yes.
I think that would be really cool if we had some chapters from her POV. That would have made it more interesting.
I would have loved that, especially also during the arena scenes, which were painfully boring to read, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because it was just like not that much was happening. In those days, not a lot was televised. So there was so much of like, I don't know, where is she? Oh, well, okay. Anyways, I'm really hungry. Let me go eat some of this buffet. But I would have liked that because I think, or I don't know, I just felt like there wasn't really anything in the book that gave any signs either way of how she actually felt. Like, to me, she was such a flat character that she didn't, it was so, yeah, it was very unclear of, honestly, it was unclear too from, like, to me, it was unclear for both sides whether there was any real feelings there or if it was both using each other, and not in a good way. Like, I would have liked a little more, it's okay to be ambiguous about it, I think, but I don't know. It was too ambiguous.
Maybe the movie will extrapolate that a little bit.
I would love that if it does. I would love it. I imagine the movie will play up the romance a lot more. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Which I would also be fine with. Because I just felt like, I don't know, that it served a true purpose. I feel like you can almost tell the same story without them having any feelings for each other, and it wouldn't really change anything. Like, they could have just been friends who were kind of unlikely allies, and then they turn on each other. You know, that could have been the same plot.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the romance added anything, so I kind of would like for them to...
The romance, she was trying to build sympathy or like feelings of conflict for Snow, but I don't know if that really worked.
Well, that's what I was trying to say earlier is I would have liked if he was genuinely in love with her and then made the choice to betray her anyways or whatever, or she turns on him at the end. But you felt like, oh, he genuinely loved her. And this was kind of part of he was maybe already making some questionable choices, but maybe this is the thing that turns him into who we later know as Snow. Yeah. Versus it just didn't feel like, it felt so questionable. Yeah. I think I would have liked it more if it was an earnest romance on his part and maybe hers was more ambiguous. But that's just me critiquing. Who am I? I've never written a novel, so
yeah. Who
am I to say? But anyways, I love The Hunger Games. I didn't hate this book. I think compared to The Hunger Games, obviously, I didn't love it as much.
I think it's good at provoking questions.
Absolutely. And obviously a lot to talk about.
Yeah, like these kind of, the evil leaders of history. Yeah. Like President Snow is modeled after so many of them. He's this charismatic, like in the original trilogy. He's this charismatic guy. Obviously, he's got like a lot of these wealthy people behind him. Yes. Like he is representative of the whole thing. It's his brand.
Yes.
So it asks some big questions about like, is anyone really just pure evil?
Sure.
There, I think, are nuance with the heroes and the villains in this story. There are times when Katniss is so infuriating because
absolutely.
She's so single-minded and she is so stubborn, and you want her to work with other people or you want her to consult others and not be so reckless. Like, there are times when she is not a perfect hero.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are times in this book, in the prequel, where Snow isn't a perfect villain because he's humanized.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I want Suzanne to write genuinely, and I think would be way better, is I would love to read more about Tigress and what happens to her and how she reacts to all this. And I thought it was very weird and interesting that they were cousins, which is not revealed in the original Hunger Games. So I would really like to hear her story. I felt like she was such an interesting character. I would love to. If we want to continue this universe, I think she would be a really good one to maybe pick up. Like maybe she could write what happens next. How does Snow go from here? And from her perspective, I think that would be cool. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
What happens to Lucy Gray in the end? Do you not know?
She just gets free.
Oh, okay. So what's up with that? Like, what happened to her? Where is she in the future world?
I don't know.
I would like some answers.
You know what? That's a good question because I think, like, remember at the beginning of the Hunger Games, Katniss and Gale are like, should we just like run away, like to like the wilds, like, and they wonder like, could you survive out there? Maybe Lucy Gray has just been surviving out there.
Lucy's fate is ambiguous. We don't know if she was shot and killed or managed to escape in the end. So she went off into the woods. She became like a ghost. He wiped her archives.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I guess because also in the Hunger Games, she said there were only ever two winners from District 12. So she's implied to be the other.
Oh, that's right. But they never show that Hunger Games.
Yes, she's the other winner. So she is gone from the records, but they, I guess, know that she won. Interesting. I would love to know what happened to her as well. Like, I guess she probably died out there, but maybe not.
Who knows?
Interesting. Anything else? We're almost at an hour, so.
I know. Was there anything else that, like, any other things that you wanted to pull out or?
I would just really like to ask Suzanne, and maybe she said this in interviews and I just need to look it up. I'm just curious why this was the story she chose to tell, to stick in the Hunger Games world. I definitely understand why sticking with it makes sense from a financial perspective, but, and maybe just from her ideas, but I would just be curious to know why this was a story, why this specific point in Snow's life,
When she could have chosen, here's what I would have liked better. She could have chosen Haymitch's games.
I would have loved that.
Haymitch as a teenager.
Yes.
Or something like that, like one generation before, because Haymitch is a really complex character. He's not perfectly great.
And his games are kind of fascinating. Like, he outsmarted them all, essentially. So,
I mean, and it's like, we know how it ends, but we also know how this story ends.
Yeah.
So I kind of would have preferred that because.
And I think a more near this is so removed from the Hunger Games world we know. I mean, it's like immediately post-war, and there's no, yeah. So I would have preferred maybe closer to the world we know, to be more rooted. Again, there's so many questions of like, how did you get from there to there, and not, maybe in like one generation. I mean, Snow's kind of old by the time we get to the book, so maybe 50 years or something. But it's not, that's not that long of a time for it to change so drastically. I would just be curious.
Yeah, or like it could have been a cool thing where she did like, Snow middle-aged and he has a kid and his kid is asking questions about like.
Or I would have honestly preferred. Sorry, I interrupted you, but
no, you're good.
I would have preferred a longer period of Snow's life, because this to me was just so. Some of the details did not need to be talked about for so long. You could have told this whole story and then even gone a little further. Like, I was almost hoping for some kind of epilogue in this of connecting the dots to the Snow we eventually know. I just feel like it ends and there's still so much time. And maybe she has plans to continue to write in this perspective. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to know like what her thought process was, how she got to this point. And, if she plans to write anything else in this world. I guess, we'll see.
Suzanne, come on the show.
Yeah. Hey, Susie, come on the pod.
All right. That's been our conversation on Hunger Games.
Thank you for listening. And I love the original trilogy so much. And also, shout out to Peeta's Games by Ixie Grace, the ultimate fan fiction. The Peeta's version of the Hunger
canon
Games.
On this podcast. It's canon.
And it'll change your life. So go read that if you haven't. Okay. Do you want to share a book you've read lately?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, it's exciting.
I read the latest installment in the Thursday Murder Club series, The Last Devil to Die.
Yeah.
I know that I have talked this series to death on here, and I'm also aware that if you haven't read the series, you're not going to just jump to this book. But I have to talk about it because it has honestly, like, since I finished it, it's just really been... I just haven't gotten over it. As a reminder, the Thursday Murder Club series, I'm like tearing up about to talk about that. The Thursday Murder Club series is a humorous mystery series about a group of British retirees or pensioners, as they call them.
Yes, correct.
Who live in like a retirement community who have a Thursday Murder Club where they solve mysteries and solve crimes, led by their fearless leader, Elizabeth, who is a former MI6 agent. Yes. Also, there is a lot of humor. It's hilarious. There is a lot of heart. It discusses the realities of aging and what it's like to be towards the end of your life and being a person, having adult children, like having romance, having friendships, learning new things, trying like... As someone who's in their 70s or 80s, it's amazing how Richard Osman is able to articulate so much feeling about getting older as someone who's not in the 70s or 80s. Yeah. It's incredible. And when I'm telling you, it'll make you laugh out loud, and that the mysteries and the twists and turns are so well thought out.
Very good.
There is great romance. Like, it has everything. And in the most recent installment, I was cooking. So I was cooking and listening to the audiobook. So I read this on Kindle and listened on audio. I alternated. And I was cooking and cutting vegetables. Oh, gosh. And I had to stop because I was a danger to myself because I was crying so hard. Yeah. I was like the wailing, moaning cry. Yeah. It got me, dude. Yeah. It got me.
I'm scared.
And I need you to listen to that. I need you to read this freaking book. I highly, for those who like audiobooks, I think the narration on this series is really, really good. So I have, something I commonly do is do a combo of the, I borrow both the ebook and audiobook version.
I love doing that. Yes.
Yeah. And so I did a little bit of both with the series. Yes. But it is a great narrator. So highly, highly recommend reading the series, and highly recommend the latest installment, The Last Devil to Die.
Okay, you got me. I still haven't even read the second book in the series, to confess to the readers. I have it sitting next to my bed.
The Bullet the Mist. You haven't read that one?
Yes, correct.
Oh my gosh,
Whatever
you
it
have so
is.
much catching up to do.
I know. I've only read the first one, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, but I do own it. So I'm on my way, but I need to catch up. Okay. My most recent book was by an author we both recently read and loved, Gillian McAllister. So I had an extra Audible credit because I got a free trial, because I wanted to not pay for the Counting the Cost book. And so this was my other free credit, and it is Just Another Missing Person.
Okay, I have that on hold.
Okay, I think you'll like it. It's
so
not...
Don't spoil it too much for me. Is what I'm saying.
I would say it's a little under Wrong Place, Wrong Time for me, but very similar vibes. Very similar vibes. So this book follows the main character. There's kind of three main characters, but the main character is Julia, and she is an officer in UK, Britain, wherever she lives. They're British. And so she's a police officer, and a year prior to the start of this book, her daughter was with her, and they were in a parking garage, and her she kind of went to grab something back from the car, and at the same time her daughter was mugged, and she swung her keys. You know how you're taught as a woman to put your keys between your hands. She swung that at this guy, cut him in the artery on his neck. They leave him bleeding out. They do call for help from a payphone, but didn't, pretend they weren't there. He ends up actually surviving and then dies 3 days later of sepsis from the wound. And Julia essentially uses her. So if you're inclined to not trust the police, this would add fuel to that fire, because she uses her police powers to erase the tape. She chooses not to investigate this case. She's the lead investigator. She doesn't really pursue any leads. She kind of half-heartedly interviews some people he knew or whatever. And the case goes cold, and her daughter is never found out. 1 year later, a woman goes missing named Olivia in her area. She's trying to track down what happened to her. And someone comes into her car at night and says, if you don't frame this guy for the murder of this woman who's gone missing, I will tell everyone what happened with your daughter and what you did to cover it up. So that's how it starts, is basically Julia is being blackmailed to arrest and convict someone of a murder for a missing person, when she doesn't have a body, she doesn't have any leads, she's being required to plant evidence. And so it's kind of she's trying to find out what happened before.
Oh wow, that sounds good.
It's too late. It's really good. It's what I really did like about this book is it also is kind of the three main characters are all parents of different people in the story. And
yeah, that sounds like Gillian McAllister.
It's very much like Wrong Place, Wrong Time. It's really about that parent-child relationship. How far would you go for your children? What would you do to protect your child? So that's kind of the main theme. I think it's a little under Wrong Place, Wrong Time because I don't always love a cop main character.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes away from it, and you're like, can I really root for you? Because you definitely covered up this murder. But other than that, I thought the writing was really good. It's a similar thing where there's a huge twist that I did kind of figure out early on, but it's revealed halfway through. And so then there's so much more left. It's a very similar thing to Wrong Place, Wrong Time, where there's even more twists that unfold. So yeah, I really like her. I think she's going to be a new author. I'm going to try to go read some more of her back catalog because I really enjoy her writing style and the characters that she really develops and the relationships between them. So I really
love that. It's great. Whenever you said that, well, first of all, it sounds really great. I'm so excited for it to come off hold and read it.
Yes.
I also have to tell you that I saw today when I went to Amazon to pre-order Britney Spears' book, The Woman in Me, which we will be recapping.
Absolutely. Tune in.
And I saw that there is a book that has a February 6, 2024 release date by Kristen Hanna called The Women.
Oh.
And the audiobook narration is by Julia Whalen, who is the person who narrates all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. She is an amazing
really good
audiobook narrator.
Good. Yes.
I am obsessed with her. But this is set during the Vietnam War and talks
wow.
about the women fighting in the war.
Oh,
and like
wow.
I know. It is
Okay, that
going to
sounds
be
good.
so fire.
That sounds really good.
I'm so excited. So anyways, cannot wait for that. And similar thing, like that lens of women's forgotten history.
Yes.
Just I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Well, speaking of that, thank you for tuning in today. Our next episode that will be released will be our Britney Spears memoir recap. So that comes out the 24th. Our episode recap on it will come out on Halloween the 31st. So if you want to read along, go ahead and pre-order that book. Otherwise, as always, we'll be recapping it here, and you can just listen to that if you don't want to read it.
Hey, conservatorships are scary.
Very.
Boo. Happy Halloween.
Spooky. Very. But we had to do it, so obviously.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Bye.